What's up guys, Eli here, back for a filmography ranking video. This is the first time I've ever done this. Why I'm starting with this particular director, I have no idea why, or I kind of do. But anyways, I'm going to be ranking the filmography of Neil Marshall. He's got 7 feature-length films here. If you're not familiar with Neil Marshall, he's a British director, writer, producer. He's had an interesting career, and that's actually kind of why I chose to rank his films. He started with his first 2 movies were like just at the time cult classics, and now I would say honestly certifiable classics in my opinion. Those being, he started off doing Dog Soldiers from 2002 and then The Descent from 2005. But what's funny about that is after those first 2 movies that were so good, he just seemed to go downhill really quick. Like nothing else he did since 2005 was really, in my opinion, nothing was really any good. And it's, to me, it completely baffles me to put out 2 movies of that quality and to not ever even really come close at all to matching that past glory. I don't get it. I do not get it. I mean, we've seen that in music before. There have been, I'm a music guy, you see bands sometimes that put out 2 bangers of an album, or maybe even just 1, and then they just will flounder after that. They'll try to chase certain types of success and change their style, and I don't know. I don't know. It baffles me, Neil's filmography. I do not get it, but I think kind of the reason why I did this was I've been so baffled by his work that I'd only seen like his first 3 or 4 movies, and I wanted to see the rest to see if those were any good. I actually own all of them. The bad ones I picked up really cheap. So anyways, 7 movies. I guess he's got a movie coming out soon, but I don't know. I decided to do this anyways, just for the sheer hell of it. So we're gonna start off with, from 2020, The Reckoning. This movie is just hot fucking trash. It's kind of a period piece. It is basically about, during like the whole witch trial era in the U.S. and England. So basically, this woman loses her husband to disease. She has trouble, keeping up, their mortgage or whatever you called mortgages back then. I don't know. So her landlord is basically, he's going to evict her, gives her an ultimatum. She can sleep with him, and he'll let her stay there. She chooses not to, and so he basically tells everyone that she's a witch. Has her arrested. She's got to go through the whole witch trial stuff. They got the witch hunter that came. I can't remember if the witch hunter was supposed to be Hopkins, the infamous Hopkins witch finder general. I can't remember if it was that guy or just basically a copy of Hopkins. So she's got to go through all that. I'm done talking about this movie. It's just so fucking dumb. What I hated the most about it, believe it or not, was like, if you're gonna do a period piece, you got to be accurate. So the main character, she's like wearing all this modern makeup and stuff, which clearly they did not have back then. It's so bad. Avoid The Reckoning unless you're just really fucking curious like I was, and I don't know, you'll hate yourself for watching it because it's a waste of time. Next, my number 6, his most recent film, at least that's out officially, The Lair from 2022. Now, this is not much better than The Reckoning. In fact, I really struggled to decide which one was worse because they're both so bad. This movie pissed me off. I bought it because I saw some YouTubers that were like, oh, it's hokey and cheesy, but it's good fun. It's good, brutal, violent action fun. And yes, there is some violence. There is some good kills and stuff, but it wasn't fun for me. It's just bad. So basically, you have these soldiers shot down in Afghanistan. They end up finding they end up, mostly one of the soldiers ends up going to this bunker. Turns out it's a Russian bunker where they were kind of working on biological weapons. They were trying to make super soldiers or whatever, making like a monster human hybrid. And this kind of thing has been done before and done much better. I went into this at least expecting to have some fun, and I didn't. The entire time, I was just bored, and it's so fucking, it's just so generic. You can't get past it. I mean, sure, the creature design, not too bad, right? But it kind of looks, to me, it looks a little bit too much like the monsters from Quiet Place. It almost looks the same to me. Although in the Quiet Place it was done better. At least in this movie, the monsters are practical, but it looks way too much just like a man in a rubber suit, which was fine back in the 1950s or even in the 80s. But that kind of shit, when it's supposed to be a movie you're taking somewhat serious, it doesn't work anymore. So the Lair, avoid this. Just avoid it. Don't watch it. Number 5, we've got Centurion from 2010 with Michael Fassbender and Dominic West. I do like Michael Fassbender. I think he's a really good actor, and he's good here. I mean, this came out in 2010, so it was around the time of a lot of people were chasing the 300 money. 300 was huge, made a whole bunch of money. I kind of feel like this was made just to kind of cash in on that. I don't know, man. It's about Michael Fassbender. His father was a centurion, so he's like this great soldier. He's in the military. I'll just read the back to you because I don't remember exactly the storyline. But so AD 117, the Roman Empire stretches from Egypt to Spain and east as far as the Black Sea. But in northern Britain, the relentless onslaught of conquest has ground to a halt in face of the guerrilla tactics of an elusive enemy, the savage and terrifying Picts, a tribe called the Picts. Quintin Dias, sole survivor of a Pictish raid on a Roman frontier fort, marches north with, God, there's a lot here, General Virulus, legendary 9th Legion, under orders to wipe the Picts from the face of the earth. However, when the Legion is ambushed and Virulus is taken captive, Quintus faces a desperate struggle to keep his small platoon alive behind enemy lines, enduring the harsh terrain and evading the remorseless Pict pursuers. The band of soldiers race to rescue their general and to reach the safety of the Roman frontier. So there you go. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not great at all, but it's a decent action movie if you liked 300. If you liked 300, this definitely will be for you. It's not as good as 300. It's not as fun. It's not as over the top, but it's very much an action movie. There's just, it's pretty well shot. It's very professional. It's, cinematography is good. If you want that kind of thing, I think Centurion delivers, but it's not really my type of thing. So it's the kind of movie I would have loved in my early 20s or my teen years, but as a 40-year-old guy, I just don't need any more of that. But it's good for what it is, or it's decent for what it is. It's passable. It's entertaining. Yeah. I'd say check it out if you're into that kind of thing. Number 4, we got Doomsday from 2008. Not bad. This is kind of like there's a lot of genres going on here. It's basically a post-apocalyptic movie. There's a virus that wipes out like half the Earth. Just ravages the entire world. It at one point turns into like a medieval movie. This is pure action schlock. If you like stuff like I wouldn't compare it to Mad Max because that's not fair. It's nowhere near as great as Mad Max. I don't know. If Mad Max is your absolute favorite movie, maybe you might enjoy it because it's clearly all post-apocalyptic movies are rip-offs of Mad Max. It really reminds me of if you like the Borderlands video games, which I do. If you like that series, this kind of has that over-the-top, cheesy, post-apocalyptic action thing going on. Where nothing is taken too seriously. There's definitely a lot of action. It's some brutal kills and stuff like that. Some entertaining characters. It's all right. It's all right. If like post-apocalyptic action schlock is your favorite subgenre, you might like Doomsday. Number 3, we're going with Hellboy from 2019. Now, if you're a Hellboy fan like I am, and you followed this movie as it was coming out, you'll remember the fucking shit show that it was. Oh my god. Like, months before the theatrical release of this movie, Jesus Christ, all you heard was horror fucking stories. The production and the filming of this was apparently just a complete nightmare. Just tons of studio, what would you call it, studio studio people getting in the way and clashing with the director, being Neil Marshall, actors having a horrible time and threatening to walk off set. This movie basically it was barely finished, and it was dead in the water before it ever even hit theaters. And what a bummer that is, because there, a lot of people say, like, a lot of film critics that know what they're talking about say there will never be another Hellboy movie, because this turned out to be such a disaster, and it didn't make a lot of money. The first two Hellboy movies, directed by Guillermo del Toro, were very successful. This one was not. So you got David Harbour playing Hellboy this time instead of Ron Perlman. He did a pretty good job. Had the filming gone smoother, had the whole process gone smoother, I think it would have been a good movie. There's potential here. And I don't mind watching it. I can rewatch it every now and then. There's a lot of good here. There's some storylines, taken directly from the comics, which is always cool. I'm a big fan of the Hellboy comics. Again, David Harbour's a good Hellboy. If anyone's gonna play him that isn't Ron Perlman, I think he was a good choice, a good fit for Hellboy. But the movie, there were just too many problems, and it shows. It makes for an incredibly flawed movie. That said, it's very watchable, and I'd say it is enjoyable. It's just nowhere near as good as the first two Hellboy. It's like a shell of a Hellboy movie of the greatness that were the first two. So I would recommend this at least for one watch. If you're a huge Hellboy fan like me, I'd say watch it at least once. It's not the worst thing in the world. To me, it's better than all four movies I just talked about, almost combined. So now these next two, the top two, these are great. I think you at this point already know what they are. These are not just Neil Marshall's best movies. These are great movies, and I have rewatched them recently. I might like them more now than I ever have. Number 2, Dog Soldiers from 2002. This movie is, in my opinion, brilliant. It's a werewolf movie. It's very clever. The dialogue is great. The practical effects are great. The werewolves look awesome. There is like folklore built into it, but you gotta pay attention. It's in there. It's subtle, but it's awesome. Like there are hints to like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, or whatever the fuck whatever that story was. That is in there. Like hints of it. It's just so clever. The action is awesome. The characters are great. It is about basically these soldiers who are training. They're out in the woods. I think they're supposed to be in the Highlands, the Scottish Highlands, but I think it was recorded in England. But that part doesn't matter. They're in the woods. They're training for like special ops, and they stumble upon another military team doing the same thing, and they're all slaughtered. So this is basically about them trying to figure out, who killed the soldiers, and then once they figure it out, they're basically fighting for their own lives. I'm trying to not spoil it in case you couldn't tell, even though it's a werewolf movie. But it's a smart one, it's a clever one. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. If you're a werewolf fan like I am, this is one of the best werewolf movies ever made. But if you're just a fan of horror in general, check out Dog Soldiers. It's awesome. So if you know anything at all about Neil Marshall, I think you know what my number 1 is. It's the only movie of his that I haven't named yet. And this is probably his most famous movie, his most well-known. Talking about The Descent from 2005. This movie, if I remember correctly, within a couple years of its release, this was already considered this was already headed for cult classic status. And nowadays, yeah, absolutely, definitely cult classic, or just outright classic. So this is about this group of women who they like to do cave diving, or spelunking, I guess it's called. And they're very experienced. They go into this one cave that has never been explored by anybody. They end up getting lost down there, and what sucks the most is that, I don't know, I don't want to spoil it if anyone hasn't seen it, but basically, so one of the women, one of the characters doesn't tell the others about this plan that she had, where she told them they were going to this cave that is fairly well known. It's been explored by many people, but she ends up learning about this cave that apparently has not been explored by anybody, at least not on record. So she goes there. She takes them there as a surprise. She doesn't tell them until they're down in it. And once they get lost, they're like, well, people know where we are, right? They'll come and look for us. And she's like, no, people don't know. Nobody knows where we are. And it's like, holy fuck. So not only are they lost down in a series of caves underground, there is something down there that is dangerous. We'll just leave it at that. So it's very scary. It's very claustrophobic feeling. It's very well made. It's very well acted. That, you know, the actresses here, I think there's four or five, I can't remember, but they're all friends, and they're you know, the friend chemistry, the buddy chemistry that they have with each other is great. It's just everything about this movie is perfect. I find there's nothing here, in my opinion, that I can criticize. So honestly, I think this is a 10 out of 10 movie. It's a definite modern classic, and once you watch that, and then you watch something like The Reckoning or The Lair, and if you haven't done that, good for you. But if you have, you probably had the same thoughts as me. What happened? I've just been curious about this for a number of years now. What happened to Neil Marshall? My guess is he just lost his passion. I heard filmmaking is hard. It's a lot of work, and it's very stressful, and it wears you down, I've heard. So my guess is he just lost his love for filmmaking. I can't imagine what else it would be, you know? But my best goes out to Neil Marshall. I think you still have it, dude. You do. You know, once you've done something so great, you can do it again. So I don't know. I hope one day we see Neil return to his past glory and gives us another just great fucking movie. I think it can happen. I hope it does. But anyways, let me know what you think. Are you a fan of Neil Marshall at all? Do you like any of these movies that I hated? I won't bash on you. You know, we all see things differently. We all like different things. We all have different tastes. So let me know what if you've seen all these movies, rank them. Go ahead and rank them and tell me what your ranking is. Anyways, that's all I got for now. I am off to bed. Got work in the morning, but we'll talk soon, huh? Fucking cheers, guys.